What minor cultural change was the hardest for you to adjust to? No free water in many countries in restaurants. France is a noticeable exception. And no free public toilets, even in some stores. Paying a few cents, or up to €2, to use the bathroom is wild. And smokers everywhere, smoking in front of kids, in train stations, old men smoking cigars and pipes on the street. Very smelly and annoying at times. I've never had a problem getting free water in the UK. Never been into a restaurant and asked for tap water and been told no. Legally not allowed to in the EU, but in America they are used to having waiters actively bring you water and refilling at all times. Edit for clarity, not allowed to deny water. Cash is the preferred method of payment here, and a lot of the time you cannot pay with card. You learn pretty quick to carry cash on you at all times. It's funny, the opposite is true in Sweden. I've never seen a krona note, everyone uses cards or mobile payment for everything, except public restrooms, which is the only reason I've ever seen the coins. Same in Denmark. Went to Hamburg over the weekend and we were super annoyed that no one took cards. No one in Denmark uses cash except old people lol. My friend lived in England before moving to New Jersey. We met in high school. He said the biggest change for him was the patience of people. The tri-state area, New York, New Jersey and Connecticut, have really impatient citizens. It's the famous everyone has somewhere to go, places to be attitude in full swing. That's also why we don't really stop and wave as much as other regions of the US. Studied abroad in Greece, and I got stares whenever I'd eat while walking. I'm Greek and I haven't actually noticed that. It seems weird to me that you got stares, especially when we have tons of places where you can get to-go food. Perhaps you were eating something which isn't that common for a quick snack. What's the big deal? I'm just cracking a lobster. Living abroad almost 3 years now. I also take into consideration I live in a smaller city. Even though it's the third largest city in the country, I came from a huge metropolitan city in the States. So some of the adjustments was also living in a smaller city in addition to cultural changes. Paying for things I didn't usually pay for. Like dining out. Paying for to-go boxes and water. Not a drop of tap water in a cup in sight. Paying for public restrooms practically everywhere. Basically very small expenses you are used to not paying in the States. Next is the demeanor of people. In general, people are less friendly and polite in public. When shopping at the grocery store, people will reach around you and grab what they want as you are in the way instead of saying excuse me or something like that. Another thing I would say is I lack fulfilling my consumer needs and in somewhat convenient places. Almost all food services, bars, shops, etc. are in the central downtown area. Only thing you find is grocery stores or smaller markets. Things close much earlier and a lot of times are closed altogether on the weekends, especially Sunday. Lastly, I would say the food. Not the quality per se. I know most European cultures really pride themselves on their cuisine and I've enjoyed a lot of it. It could very well be this country, but a lot of foods are too damn sweet. I know what you're thinking, how can an American say that? Because it's the damn truth. Just one example, I had a baguette sandwich with this spread that basically tastes like ketchup mixed with sugar. Besides the taste/flavor, you do end up missing food/food diversity you could get in the States. Having health insurance and being encouraged to go to the doctor when I'm sick. When I was in the US, it was natural to only go when you were on the verge of death. And your workplace made you get them a copy of the report. If you didn't, they could and would fire you. Here in Germany, my worker asks, "Are you okay? Do you need to go to the doctor? Don't worry, we will be fine." Spent some time in Glasgow, a couple months, and the one thing that struck me the most was all the litter. Some of the streets were really gross tbh, because there would be huge piles of trash on the corner. Also, after a Friday night there you would literally be walking on a layer of cigarette butts. Another thing is that you can't buy alcohol after 10 PM, made for some big disappointments on certain nights. Not a European country, but living in Japan, One thing that drives me totally up the wall is that people don't open a bag of chips from the top. They open it along the side and use chopsticks to grab the chips. I remember I saw a coworker eating hot Cheetos with chopsticks so she wouldn't get her keyboard dirty. I looked at her like she's some supreme alien species came to teach us, stupid earthlings, infinite wisdom. It's hard to argue with their logic. It's logical. But if it's so right, why does it feel so wrong? This is how I feel about life in Japan and Japanese priorities in general. Currently living in the Czech Republic. Customer service here is not the same at all, with workers becoming visibly upset with you if you inconvenience them. This is especially true if you pay with big bills like 1000 or 2000 CZK for anything under 500 CZK. God, I wish that was me. I found myself becoming irritable with customers at work today and had to correct myself. If I'm shitty to the customers, they get shitty back and they leave bad reviews, which leads to my hours getting cut. Customer service is the 37th circle of hell. The thing is, they will get upset with you, even if you just ask them a simple question in some cases. So even if you're not being a shit customer, they are still prone to getting bent out of shape. I lived in the UK for a while back in 2008. Mexican food does not, barely, exists. I need me some burritos. Man, I miss tamales. And proper corn tortillas made with that special light corn flour. Masa. At least there's no earthquakes here like in Cali. I lived in Germany for a significant portion of my life. By far the biggest cultural changes surrounded stores. How everything aside from restaurants were closed after 8 PM and not open on Sundays. I couldn't go fuck around at grocery stores at 3 AM with friends or do really anything in the wee hours of the morning that involved going out unless there was a festival going on or something. I came back to the States years ago, but I honestly kind of miss it there. Where I live we have the night shops. They are a blessing when you need something after 8 PM. For me, it was the waste disposal and separation system. In the US, all I really had to do was separate the trash from the recycling and put 2 bins out on a curb each week. But when I moved to Germany, I had to separate everything into plastics, paper, cartons, cans, cardboard, non-recyclable waste, organic waste, glass, etc. Then, I had to make like 3 stops throughout the city to get rid of all of it. I'd have to stop by the nearest set of neighborhood recycling bins, where to stop and sell them out on the street to dispose of most of my recyclables. Then I had to go to the small neighborhood supermarket to get rid of any batteries and plastic bottles. And finally I had to go to the actual waste management center to dispose of things like electronics and such. I literally had to look up a guide published by the U.S. Army garrison in Stuttgart every time I took out the trash, just so I didn't accidentally throw something in the wrong bin. I have lived in Malta for over 3 months now. Point of things I miss from the US: ice, free water and refills at restaurants, American junk food like Cheez-Its, the vast variety of restaurants available in the US, and pharmacies just have drugs and not tons of other crap that CVS and Walgreens have. I went to a restaurant a few days ago that gave out free bottled water instead of tap water. It was weird. Currently in UK for the last 4 years. Walking everywhere and a lot of people don't have driver's licenses, which is weird for me coming from South Carolina and now living in a large city. Definitely the humor and the way people joke. Like no one will actually say they're kidding, and I always feel like I have to guess. The sarcasm is strong, so sometimes I'm just not sure, especially being in Scotland. Also all the tax being included in the price. You actually pay what the ticketed price is. No more adding extra for each item you put in your shopping basket. What? This is mostly for Spain, eating dinner at 10 PM or later. I live in Portugal, which is right beside Spain, and this baffles me as well. I've been to Spain a million times, but I cannot get used to those dinner hours. I can't have dinner at 10 and be in bed by 11:30. Come on. Everyone eats next to nothing by American standards. People don't gorge themselves, so sometimes it was quite daunting to go round someone's house on the weekend and all they have until supper is tea and a tiny cucumber sandwich. Or order a coffee and get a tiny espresso. Don't get me wrong, I love these things, but I was raised with a scarcity mindset, so I had to unlearn those habits. Last year I spent 9 months in Ukraine. The women there are always dressed to the fucking nines, even just going grocery shopping. One girl there explained to me that, since clothes are so expensive there, one pair of jeans can be 2 months' salary, easily. The women only buy really nice clothes that will last them. They don't buy simple stuff that they can throw on and be casual, so they are always dressed up even in day-to-day activities. Even their casual jeans and t-shirts are still things that I see girls here wear on nights out. American living in the UK, are you alright? Alright. As a greeting. Still, after nearly a decade of hearing it, I get confused thinking I must look awful. Nope. Just another way to say, how are you? Maybe one day I'll adjust. Sounds a lot like the French au revoir, to which one replies au revoir. How's it going? It's going. When I learned French, we were supposed to reply au revoir bien, which means it's going well. Didn't know that just au revoir was also acceptable. Have a nice day.